Hello, 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 hello. Welcome to the show. I really appreciate you all who are checking it out and going to check it out in the future. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Hope everyone is well. Hope everyone is doing well and all that. Make sure you say hello so I can acknowledge your presence. Let's see here. Let's see. Gotta get my banners up. Come on, where the banners at? Make sure you say hello. I said I was going to do a show for today, and I meant that. And I was going to kind of bow out a little bit, but I said, let me do the show because I said I was going to do it. So, and I do appreciate when people send me information or send me some video. Somebody sent me a video today that I may do it on Sunday, depending on whether. Depending on what time the playoffs start, we'll talk about that on the end of the show. So hello to you, Evelyn. Hello to you, Marilyn. The Lynns are in the house. Nicole, hello. Wingate, North Carolina. Hello to you, out of sight, out of mind. Hello. Thank you so much for checking out the show. I appreciate it. We're not going to belabor the time for tonight. I know people got to work, got to go to school the next day, got to work the next day, all that kind of stuff. And to you people on the left coast, the West Coast, they're probably just getting out of work and all that kind of stuff. So you can listen to me on your way home or make sure that you catch the replay and say hello. I could not find my headphones. I'm feeling kind of naked. I'm feeling kind of naked. Also, I just worked out. So I'm a little tired. So forgive me for that. And I'm a little thirsty. So, all right. So we're going to play a video and then we're going to jump into it. And of course, I'll take your questions and all that. So tonight we're going to talk about Miss Melyssa Ford, who I got to be honest, I don't even know who that lady was. Oh, day off for the feds. Okay. Was that today or was that tomorrow? Jimmy Carter. I have not been following that. I know he passed, obviously. But I don't know, the national holiday and when that is and when the funeral is and all that kind of stuff. To be honest with you, I haven't paid attention to that. Hello, Yuru Shalom. I hope I'm saying your name right. Hello to you. Tomorrow. Okay. All right. So we can stay up a little bit later today. Okay. All right. I don't know who she is. Yeah, Lakeisha Locke. Yeah. I don't know. Listen, I don't know who she was, but somebody sent me this, and but I think there is a little bit to learn from it. We're only going to play a little bit of it. It's a 48-minute video. I'm not going to play all of it, but I do think she tells two stories about times when she was going to get married. We can take a listen to that and determine if we can learn anything from that. All right. So first thing up is a video. We'll have a discussion about this as we wait for more people to scroll in. So this is a video about a inebriated, intoxicated couple and whether this brother wants to get married or not. Somebody sent me this today. I think it was early this morning. So let's check this out.
How old are you?
44.
41. And how long have you been together?
10 months.
Being that you're in your 40s, do you plan on getting married one day, or is it just more of like a long-term partnership kind of thing?
No comment. You never know. I can't say that. I can't say what the future may hold. But I know right now we're dating, we're in a relationship, we're figuring it out, we pushing forward. But I can't say that far.
So if she got down on her knee right now and said, will you marry me?
You're moving too fast. I can't do that now. Hold up now. No.
What's the hesitancy?
Right.
No.
But first
But you know what's the hesitancy? First of all, you want to know this on podcast? I've been married for 15 years, and then I got out of this shit for a whole motherfucker. I only been divorced for damn 2 years, and then I still gotta. No, but at the same time, I gotta still heal. I still gotta goddamn. No, I'm gonna hear. No, I'm telling real shit. No, since you want to hear it, I'm being real. I'm just being real.
When you know you're ready, you're ready.
You ready? It don't matter whoever they're with, whether the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, or whoever you with, you're gonna learn it and you're gonna know it and you're gonna just get with it, and you're gonna love it, and you're gonna say, I'm gonna respect it, and that's it. Goodbye, good night. Thank you.
How old?
Good night. You think, Evelyn? just a little bit. They're just a little bit drunk. What I think was interesting, yeah, is too many hennies there. Definitely too many hennies. So I think that the issue in this particular thing is that she don't want to hear that this guy isn't ever going to want to get married, and you know, so who wants to hear that you're not marriage material? I recognize it's been 10 months, but she was obviously planning on doing on going somewhere. And when somebody speaks to the world on the internet on a podcast and says, I don't know. So I think she got a little upset. So yes, they were drunk. Interesting. And hey there, Jayla. So I thought that was a little interesting there. Well, you all tell me, would you all, as ladies, would you continue to date someone if they put it out there in the atmosphere that they weren't even considering that? They still got to heal. Meanwhile, you on this date with me. I mean, I think after a while, I think that one of the first things that I talk about is that you're going to make sure that you are whole and healthy before you enter into another relationship. Now, if they just friends with benefits, buddies, that's another thing. But absolutely, the alcohol brought out the truth. Absolutely, 100%. Alcohol definitely brought out the truth. Definitely brought out the truth. So. Yes. so that's it. All right. Let's see. Well, that's a good question. Isn't it too early to be talking about any of that? I mean, at what point? I mean, this is the point about dating with intention. At what point do you want to start talking about this? When you're deeply, madly in love after 2 years, after 3 years? I mean, how much of your life do you want to give to someone? She's 44, he's 41. She might want to get married. She might be past the childbearing age, depending on, she froze her eggs. We don't know all that kind of stuff. But she probably wants to get off the market, and she probably wants to get off the market and wants to get married. And she hooked up with a guy who seemingly she liked and said, I want to get married. And here this guy is, as has been stated by Miss Nicole, alcohol brought out the truth. And now this man really isn't feeling me like that, or he's just not ready. So is it time to move on once they start making these type of statements? I don't know. Hey, Kay Cooper, I'm for dating with intentions for marriage. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I get that. I ain't mad at her. I ain't mad at her at all. I guarantee you I had an interesting conversation when they sobered up, though. I bet you that. I think she should have let him know that in the beginning. Yeah. I mean, what point is that the right thing to do in the dating process? Date 3, date 5? I mean, after 6 months? I mean, they've been married. Excuse me. They've been dating for 10 months now. So what point did you do that, right? All right. Make sure y'all hit the like button. So that's not it for tonight. All right. So we're going to keep on pushing here. We're going to keep on pushing. So this is Miss Melyssa Ford. Melyssa Ford. Yeah. So this is her. She's Canadian media personality, former video vixen. I had to look that up. I didn't know really what that term was. I heard the term, but I wasn't really sure what that is. And that means that she just was in a bunch of rap videos and all that kind of stuff. She was on the Joe Budden podcast and all that kind of stuff. So you can read about her career in the 90s. I never knew who she was and all that kind of stuff. She's been different things, all Hollywood based. Excuse me. So, and this is her. This is her in 2005, 20 years ago now. Wow, 20 years, man. I'm getting old. 2005 was 20 years ago. Jeez. So that's her. So now she, I guess, has started a podcast, and she's jumping on this bandwagon like so many other people, jumping on the bandwagon as far as podcasting. All these rappers and athletes are now. Listen, this is for us, right? These are for the simple folk, right? We don't have platforms and all this kind of stuff. We don't have ESPN contracts and all this. So why y'all coming in our lane, right? All right, Childless Cat Lady. Let's see. Get some comments here. The lady seemed like she was okay with his decision, the way she did not respect him or discuss their relationship in public. That he seems okay with his decision, the way she did not disrespect him or discuss their relationship in public. Oh yeah, she just kind of walked away. She's like, we'll have this. We'll have this conversation another time. Date one, I always say I'm going to be a wife. Okay, well you put them on notice. That's good. I guess that's the way to do it. I think it might be the age base. I think ground rules should be set early. I'm in a meaningful relationship, but I really want to be married. I already did it once. I'd be curious to know whether she was married before as well, and whether she really wanted to do it again. And guys, guys, they might they go through a lot when they get divorced emotionally. Losing kids, if they got to pay alimony, child support, financial ruin, all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, right. I don't understand all these celebrities getting podcasts now. Yeah, it's crazy, right? Angela, I mean, there's one native son, Angela Rye, and a former host on MSNBC. I always forget her name. But they got podcasts now, right? What the heck, man? It's crazy. Get off of here, So this is for us regular people, I think, anyway. But you can't knock the hustle. Excuse me. All right, so we're going to listen to a little bit of Miss former video vixen, and why she never got married, Miss Melyssa Ford. And this was sent to me, and this is the name of her podcast, Hot and Bothered. That's a weird title, but she chose what she chose, Hot and Bothered. And so we're gonna get into this. And I tried to cue it up just on the point where she starts talking about her relationships, and we're going to listen to why she never ever got married. She said she was engaged 2.5 times, and she sounds kind of like Ebony K. Williams, another one who was close to the altar, Cheyenne Bryant, who was close a couple of times. If I'm not mistaken, if I remember correctly, Cheyenne Bryant claimed to be engaged 3 or 4 times, but just never could pull the trigger. And I just wonder why. My own personal opinion is that they were just having too much fun. They just had too many options, too many men were coming on to them, and they just didn't want to settle down. That's what it's going to come down to. But y'all tell me if I'm wrong or whatever. So, Savannah James, that name sounds familiar. Is she a former sportscaster or whatever? I don't know who that is. Savannah James. It seems like she thought her man was about to go ham on the street interviewer, so she stepped out of the way. Well, she probably knows this dude when he's got a little too much Henny in him. And we're standing outside drinking that too. I mean, where's that at? You can't be standing outside drinking. At least not where I'm from. All right. So we're gonna cue this up here, and we'll listen to the Childless Cat Lady. And I'm not just saying that; she's saying that, obviously, to get some clicks and likes and all this kind of stuff. So
I was offended. And then when I thought about it, I really just had to laugh because never been married, childless cat ladies. Honestly, that sounds like a dream come true to me. I don't know. Like solitude, my own choices, and animals that love me. Oh my God, somebody, call the cops. That sounds awful. But anyways, I know that I'm not the only one that felt that their life choices were put under attack. So this episode is called I Am 48, I Am Child Free, and I've never been married. And guess what? That's okay.
That's okay, y'all. Y'all believe her? I'm going to tell you right now. Oh, LeBron James' wife. Okay. I didn't know that. Ford got in a really bad car accident, disappeared for several years. Yeah, that was in the Wikipedia that I put up there. That she got into a car accident with a tractor trailer or truck or something like that. So I didn't know that. I don't think she talks about it here. So not wanting to settle down is an honest thing to want, but be clear about that though. Don't deceive people. Well, right, and I agree with that. Whether that's for Miss Melyssa Ford here, or if that's for the person in the video that we played. Why do our beautiful black women have all these engagement, never married, and most become alcoholics? Well, this is an issue. This is the issue, and this is what I want us to listen to. This is one thing I think that we can have a discussion about is why this is going on. And I think I think a lot of times these ladies are running into the same problems that a lot of men are having, just too many options, right? As a police officer, right? One of the things that we used to always ask ladies in a roundabout way, right? And I'm going to say this because there's a scandal going on within the Joy Taylor, who will probably be starting a podcast soon herself. Joy Taylor was allegedly sleeping around, and there's a lawsuit going on. If you haven't been paying attention about that lawsuit going on around Fox Sports and all this kind of stuff. And so, right, so there's this idea that we was always kind of ask women, ladies, and law enforcement, how come you stepped out, this, that, and the other, and the excuse was always, why would you be with Clark Kent when you work with Superman every day? So what they were saying is, right, you got a good guy at home who's Clark Kent, but you go to work with all these police officers who are on the SWAT team. They got, they're big and working out and and all this kind of stuff, right? And you don't want to go home to your man. And so the same thing happens in the sports world. You got all these guys, all this attention, they're all trying to get at you. You don't want to get married, right? So here this former video vixen is it's Melyssa Ford, who had the same thing, right? She's around rappers and she's being flown out to different places. She's making money, and she was on CNN at one time as a guest or something like that, and according to MSNBC, according to Wikipedia. So this is the issue, right? So you're surrounded by all these, you got Clark Kent, but you got all these different options as far as Superman. So that's kind of the way we looked at it. Joy already had a podcast and it's boring. Oh, okay. I didn't know that. All right. I think she enjoyed her fun life. I think she may want a spouse now. She got all that fun out of her system and ready to settle down. I think that's the case. I think that's the case with Ebony K. Williams. I think that's the case with her. I think that's the case probably with Joy Taylor is going to be coming up. All these different ladies, right? All these different people. They're having fun. Let's just call it what it is. They're having fun. Is that true though? Are black women staying unmarried and turning into alcoholics? Well, I'm not saying that. Somebody else said that. I don't know, what their alcoholics is, but I do know this is an issue. Actually, I was going to play another video. I already started playing this one. I was going to play a video by Dee Dee. I'm trying to decide whether I want to do that or not. I'm going to play YouTube, because she talked about this today, and I think that this was a good episode. So bear with me here. I want to play a video by Dee Dee. Yeah. Y'all forgive me here. I want to try to find this. She played a good episode today, and I think that this is worth listening to. I don't believe all women believe marriage is the life goal. Yeah, you're probably right about that. Let's see if she feels the same way after crossing 50. What's the case with Tracy? Tracy Ellis Ross is the same thing. She's actually come out and said it. You guys are bringing up some good people here. She's actually come out and said it. Said the same things. She can't find a man. Who's the other one? who turned 50 not long ago. Oh man, I can't think of her name. Gosh, she was in that movie. She was in a bunch of movies. What's her name? I don't want to belabor that. I can't find a video by Dee Dee. All right, so I'm not going to play that. Who's the lady who am I thinking about? Who is the lady who? Ah, man. Let me Google this here. I didn't hear that about Snay Latham. Hmm. She was in Hustle and Flow with Terrence Howard. Taraji P. Henson. Taraji. She said the same thing. So good evening to you, Taraji. Yeah, Taraji. Yeah. Good evening, Angela. Coming in from Philly. Yeah, Taraji. Yeah. Taraji. Yep. Well, Lisa Ray, we all know her issues, right? She was married to the Prince of Barbados or Turks and Caicos or something like that, right? She somehow messed that up. Well, we all know about Vivica. So I mean, I'm not saying that to be funny, but this is the issue that a lot of ladies are unfortunately running into. And of course, we're naming the people that we know, but this seems to be an issue that is going on within Black communities. And I wanted to find a video of Dee Dee, the other YouTuber, mentioning this type of thing, where ladies are getting older and understanding that they need to kind of scale this back and understand, some of the mistakes that they're making. And I'm not saying it's impossible to get a mate, but it's harder because as you make more money, your pool of viable applicants that you deem to be worthy goes down. Not me, you, right? So you deem to deem these men not to be worthy of your time and attention and all that. So that's an issue for you all, and that's why I say, to push the men. If you want, if you want a man who is on your level or greater, you got to push your sons to be better. So I'm trying to do that as well. All right, so let's get back into the video here. And this Miss thing here is completely okay with this. Don't try to.
I never made it down the aisle, but I have been engaged in the past. How many engagements? I would say 2.5. Let's start with the 0.5 since that was the first one. I was involved with a man who loved me. He was good looking. He was tall. He was charismatic, gregarious. Everybody loved him. My mom loved him. My sister loved him. My niece loved him. My friends loved him. Everybody loved him. But there was something inside of me that just said, this is not perfect. It's the furthest thing from perfect. He would say things like, nobody's ever going to love you the way that I love you. And I believed him. I wrestled with this internal sense of guilt.
All right. So I don't like them head games. I don't like when guys play those type of head games, but it is what it is. So she had a guy who was, charming, gregarious. That means outgoing. I had to look it up. Outgoing, all this different type of stuff. People in her family loved him, but she just, for some reason or another, just wasn't feeling it. And this is a common theme. And somebody just put in the chat, right? You can't have them all. Choose one and make a wonderful life of it. And this is what I think is important, is because whether you're a man or a woman, you're continuing to look, and this is the whole social media effect. You're continuing to look at all these different people, all these different options, and you're never able to settle on one. This is a psychological phenomenon of having too many choices. You go to a grocery store, you have 50 different brands of chips and all these different, have a hard time choosing one. And this is coming back to bite a lot of us. And this is where this lady is, right? You're never going to get perfection. This guy may be all the physical attributes that you have, but he's, according to her, using some type of manipulative language. He might be emotionally available, but he might not be as tall as you want, and he might not make as much money, or he's got all the money, but yet he's not outgoing, or he's shy, or he's bashful, or he's walks funny, or he's got you don't like this about his family. There's never going to be this perfect match to all that type of thing. So I agree with Yeru Shalom. Choose one and make a beautiful life out of it. So y'all make sure y'all smash that like button too.
I wrestled with the guilt of honestly wanting to be free, honestly wanting to live my life and to date and to experience other men and to experience other things and other places. I just wanted to live my life. I had moved to New York from Toronto, a totally different country, with $25, 2 suitcases, and a one-way ticket. I didn't have permission from my country to leave. I didn't have permission from this country to be here. And I was making things happen for myself at a very, very rapid pace.
I disagree with that. Men don't lower their standards. I just think that men and women have different standards. I think that women have vaulted their standards into the atmosphere to now they're almost unobtainable. You're not going to get a 6'5" guy making 6 figures and whatever the 6-pack abs. He may not have every other thing that you're looking for. You know, the physical attributes. He may not be faithful, and you know, if you guys got to make 6 figures, then a guy who's making 85K doesn't qualify. I mean, the standards have just been outside of the stratosphere. And I played this on my I don't have it on my computer, but it's on my phone, where, you know, men see who's here. Maybe I should put it on my phone, on this computer. Men see who's here. We picked the woman here. There's a beautiful woman over there. She got this, she got that, she got a body, or she's got this personality and all these other attributes that I can see and I can talk to and kind of vibe with. Where women have this thing in their mind, and this is the thing that really kind of bothered me about Cheyenne Bryant, when she's talking about, I got this idea in my own mind about what marriage should be like and what I want this guy to be like. Meanwhile, she herself is counseling women out of getting out of that type of thinking. So that's where I think that the issue is coming in at. So the intangibles get overlooked. Maybe the material can be taken in divorce. Yeah. She used to be a big video vixen. Yeah, I don't know. Some ladies speak as if the man is on the other side has no standards. Yeah, I think there's a lot of that going on. Yeah, because believe me, that 6'5" guy who's making 6 figures and is in shape is going to have some demands. Believe that, because he's got options. And again, your options decrease as you go up the ladder. That's just not the case. It's just not the case. It may seem unfair, but it's just not the case. I believe that the statement he said was genuine. I spoke with an older white couple, and the lady expressed those exact sentiment and won him over. Well, it might be different for men and women. A woman who says that might be vastly different than a man who's saying it. If a man is saying, nobody's gonna love you like you, it sounds a little manipulative and controlling. But a woman who says that is, all right, okay, I might give you a shot, but I could be wrong about that. Most women are married to average men, and average man is not 6 foot, does not have 6-pack. And exactly, 70% of adults are obese, overweight. 25% of college grads are proficient in literacy. The bar has been dropped. Are or are not? I read an article about college students who go to Ivy League schools who don't read. So I mean, can you imagine going to Yale or Harvard and haven't read a full book? It's crazy. Yeah, I think that that engagement, she listens to her intuition. All right, so let's continue on with this.
And so to find myself inside of a relationship that felt so stifling at this very young age, and not having the vocabulary to speak up for myself and articulate that somebody who loves you would not say those things to you. They wouldn't say that nobody will ever love you the way that I love you, because that indicates that there's a part of me that's broken, or there's a part of me that's unlovable. But I didn't know how to articulate this. So I stayed in this relationship that I was wildly unhappy in for approximately 3.5 years, close to 4. And I have to admit, I was not faithful in this relationship.
Okay. A couple of things here. Let's first address this question here. Some Barbara P making my point here. Some men lower their standards when they hook up with these BBLs and multiple partners. Exactly. So you cannot confuse the fact that men put women in categories. I'm sure that women do the same thing, put men into categories. Here's a food date, here's this date, or whatever. This guy pay my bills, and here's the guy for loving. But your guys put you in the same categories. You're either for a short time or for a long time, for a fun time or for a long time, and you got to make a decision on which one you're going to be in. And the problem is that the bar has been lowered, and if he can't get it from you and put you in that fun girl category, he's going to move on and go get him a fun girl. But as I did in another video talked about this, you got to maintain your stance on where you're going to be at. And the other part about this is, so that's that. So the other part that I want to address is why would she stay in this relationship for 3, almost 4 years and just be unfaithful? I mean, what does that say about her character? I mean, to be in this, why would you do that? Is he paying? Is he paying all the bills? What's up with that? What's up with that? I'm a Black married man and a top 5% earner. It's very difficult to even enter these circles. Proximity is a challenge for most. Yeah. It's nothing wrong with wanting a man who makes 6 figures, but if you're not making 6 figures, don't look down on men who also are not making 6 figures. Well, I think that the issue is that if you as a woman are making it, you still want a man who's going to be able to bring something or at least date on your level. That's not 100%. I think it's probably something like 70% of women who want somebody who's going to be financially on par or greater than them. But where's the respect at? How would you respect a man who is making less than you? How much say would he have in the house? That's something for you all ladies to decide. I can't see y'all doing it, but they say it can be done. Let's see. She was for the streets. She definitely was for the streets. She definitely was the street. If your strategy is to wait at the finish line, then the competition is fierce. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So Umar Johnson spoke to this recently, right? And that was a great episode, a great clip when he went down to Australia talking about and putting on blast that these ladies of less melanated complexion are doing the things that need to be done in order to get the attention of these brothers as they're on their way up. So the question is, why aren't the ladies? And the lady that Umar Johnson was, the interviewer, said she wasn't willing to do it. So stop complaining. If you're losing out to other ladies of other ethnicities and you're not willing to do what those other ladies are doing, stop complaining. 75% of college grads didn't test proficient in graduate literacy tests, according to the NLL. Our Americans are less qualified compared to past decades. This is a good question. I was going to do a show about this, but I didn't know if I wanted to put it here. But there's been an issue, and maybe I'll talk about it another time. There's been an issue with what's his name there? Vivek Ramaswamy, or however his name is said. I don't mean to be disrespectful. But he called all Americans lazy, and culture is watching Housewives or whatever he said. And so there's been a few people from Middle Eastern descent who have said some things like that. First, they were targeting African Americans, and when Vivek, who ran for president of the United States, if you don't know who this was, Vivek said what he said, then the whole MAGA movement is now digging at this guy. So he wrote a book called "A Nation of Whiners," a nation of losers, or something like that. And I think, I haven't read the book, but I was listening to someone else who did read the book say that it was kind of talking about African American people and not taking advantage of the American dream. So to answer the question, are Americans of lesser quality? I just think that there's something wrong with the educational system. And in the African American culture, there's something wrong with our culture. We gotta first say that outright. We don't prioritize learning. I mean, as a culture, are there individuals of us who are doing that, yes. But as a culture, is this something that we can look at and say, this is something we're proud of? No. So, but now this is becoming noticed, right? And you think of a lot of these immigrants are coming here from the Middle East, Iran and India, etc., and they're taking over the tech industries. Black American people can't do tech, so this is something we got to look at, right? 101 on how not to ruin your youth. Cash out in your youth with the right one, and you see the fruit in your elderly years. Yeah. Hit that like button, y'all. Hit the like button. What the heck, man? Put some respect on my like button. Thank you for that. All right, let's see. Less equality. Sad. Vivek Ramaswamy. I forget how to say his name. Yeah. I met my wife in law school and we built it together. This is the trajectory of most high earners. We met our wives early. Now, speaking of this, meeting somebody in law school. Remember, what bothered me about Ebony K. Williams is she tells a story about she didn't want to pay this guy's bills while he was getting his MBA. She was a lawyer. She didn't want to help this man. Speaking of Umar Johnson, talking about helping these people to level up. If you haven't watched that, in the video where he's being interviewed by the Australian person of African descent, or the African descended person who's living in Australia, however you want to say it. And this is exactly what she was saying. I don't want to pay these people's bills. I don't want to help these guys out. Well, this is where you're going to meet them at. And Ebony K. Williams had met a guy. She was graduated from law school. She's working. Here's a guy who's doing something. This isn't a man who's a bum, some Pookie and Ray Ray. But she said, I don't want to pay this. I felt a certain type of way. So she got rid of him. This is something we got to correct about our culture, right? The AI technology is taking away from all these careers and jobs. Absolutely. Facts, and millennials have no issue paying when they get divorced. Why? Because their wives were usually the one there from the beginning. I recently played in a card game amongst recent college grads, and they were young fellas, couldn't even do simple math. There was a video I saw today. I didn't bookmark it, but there was a video I saw today on Instagram where this woman was saying, if I put a quarter in my jar every day, by the end of the year, I'll have something like $10,000. And the guy was trying to get her to see the math, and she just couldn't see it. She just couldn't see what was wrong with that statement. By putting a quarter in the jar every day, that in 1 year should have $10,000. I think that was the amount. The guy, he just couldn't believe that. He just couldn't believe it. American dream. We made the dream possible, but what was that meant for us to obtain? If they aren't married, why is she paying his bills? Well, because I think because they're living together. I'm presuming from the statement that she was saying that they're living together and she's helping her man to become something. I don't really have a problem with that. If y'all living together, listen, I teach my kids to, be something, be somebody, be established before you get married, particularly my son. But if that's the choice she made, the bigger issue is that she made the choice, she made the decision to pay the bills, to take on this responsibility, to help him get his MBA, and then while he's doing it, said, listen, I really can't do this. That's, to me, the bigger issue, is that she kind of went back on her word and went back on what she was thinking about. I went through a company restructuring and was out of work for 3 months. I'm now a senior leader and make 3 times as much as her, and she can quit when she is ready. Okay, cool. If you're talking about Ebony K. Williams, she didn't want to get married. Well, I don't know if she was married to this guy. She was married to one guy. This is the story. I don't know if I'm conflating the two stories or whatever, but Ebony K. Williams was married, and I don't know if the story I just told was her husband or if it was a boyfriend, but for whatever reason, she's no longer married. So you can go over to her, watch her feeds and stuff, and see, where I'm missing that at. All right, let's get back to this lady here, so she can tell us about this.
Nothing that I'm proud of, but I just chalk that up to I was really, really young and I was hood famous. I was on the covers of magazines on your local newsstand. So everybody recognized me. And that was another source of pressure that I felt being inside of this relationship rather than being free to explore all of my options. And so one day I was going through some drawers.
Exactly what I said. She was hood famous. She's getting all this attention. She's getting all this attention, and she didn't want to settle down. So now this is exactly what it is. So, and that's probably why the guy said what he said, is that you're getting all this attention, but nobody's ever going to love you the way that I do. That it may not have been a manipulation tactic. It may have been saying, I see all the glitz and the glamour. I see how these guys are looking at you, but I really, really love you. I really love you. That could have been it. I don't know. I don't know.
Folding laundry, placing clothes, in the drawers and such. And I found it. I found a box. And when I saw it, I said, please, God, don't let this be what I think it is. And I opened the box. And there it was. It was a ring. And the only thing that I could think was that it was an engagement ring. It sure as hell was not a promise ring. We were way beyond that. We were not in high school. I was not wearing this boy's varsity jacket. This was an engagement ring. And if I knew this man the way that I knew him, that proposal was going to be very public. And that terrified me. I didn't want to have to say no in front of our friends and family and publicly humiliate him.
Because she knew that she wasn't ready. She knew she was stepping out. She knew she wanted to continue to run the streets. She knew that that was not her mentality. She's on her career, on her grind. She's meeting all these different people. She's got Clark Kent at home, and meanwhile, she's meeting all these different Supermen, and she just couldn't deal with it, and she just wanted to keep on doing what she was doing. That's exactly what she's saying as she's in between sips of wine here.
He did not deserve that. But I also could not see myself saying yes in front of everybody just to save face, and then later on have to break it to him like that this is not something that I was going to be able to go forward with. So what I did instead was I packed up all my belongings while he was out of town and put them in storage and flew back to Canada. And then I had the conversation about us breaking up over the phone. I know what you're probably thinking as well. Yo, Melyssa, that's fucked up. I know. It took years for me to make peace with this decision. I have self-flagellated over this decision. I have beaten myself up every way to Sunday that you possibly can. I tried to reconcile with him at one point, which was a big mistake. That is the 0.5.
Oh man, listen, I watched this before. Jeez. Asked before, but I completely missed that. I completely missed that. So wow. I didn't notice she tried to reconcile with the dude. She recognizes she messed up. Wow.
I had an ugly duckling phase. Don't tell anybody. I destroyed all the pictures, so there's no proof. Before I became a video model and a model, and I was like known as the brain amongst all my friends. So I was studying forensic psychology with a minor in English literature in university. So the fact that I started to become known more for my looks than my brain is kind of ironic. The attention just snowballed, and I started to see that I was able to, make a business out of it. If it didn't make money, it didn't make sense.
Society places an enormous amount of pressure on us to check certain boxes. The box of go to school and excel. You've got to pursue a career based on what you went to school for. And you've got to excel and become successful. And you have to have your 3-year, 5-year, 10-year, 15-year, 20-year plan, all while you're in your 20s. Get married, get the white picket fence, and have 2.3 kids. Never figured out the point situation when it came to the statistics, because what's a third of a kid? But I digress on that. The problem with the boxes is that we never check in with ourselves. It is never, ever, ever our first thought as to, well, what is it that I actually want? I am now, welcoming into my circle a lot of women who checked all those boxes. And for all intents and purposes, a lot of the stuff really actually did not work out. Yes, they ended up with the children, but they ended up in sometimes a loveless, sometimes an abusive, and sometimes a marriage of convenience. Sometimes they didn't even get the marriage, they just got the kids, and they inherited a whole lot of struggle and strife. And it's not to say that their choices are better or worse than the choices that I made. These are just choices. But for us women, I feel like our choices oftentimes have never really, really belonged to us. And when
My soap says, did you know obesity produces and stores estrogen and causes cognitive decline? Wouldn't this deficiency in the majority populace be a major factor as opposed to the culture argument? No, because those things generally hit you later in life. We're talking about kids. Now, do kids need to exercise and all that? Yeah, but we're talking, yeah. So I don't see the connection in that. And yes, cognitive decline, Alzheimer's, which is type 3 diabetes in other countries, in all that. But that's not. But no, we have a culture. We have a culture deficiency. Um, there's a guy, Thomas Sowell, has talked about this. African Americans, African people of descendant people who grew up in Germany, uh, who after World War II, grew up in Germany, products of you know soldiers living over there, etc. Uh, going to school over there, their test scores are on the par with the other white kids in Germany. So this is definitely a culture issue. Um, so that I mean, the science is all over the place about that. So you live and learn. Some lessons come too late. Keep it real, ma'am. If that woman want a man, she can get one. She might be able to get one today. She's a good looking woman. She'll get one she's 48 in his 50s, right? Right. So she can definitely get a woman. I mean, get a man. I don't think just but is it the man that she wants, and got to deal with her past and all that kind of stuff? That's the question. I have known a few women that look like her that have men that truly love them and cheated on these men. Listen, I mean, stepping out is an issue. When you got options, you're a beautiful woman, you got options, and they keep coming at you, and all these guys want to fly you out and buy you this and buy you that. It's like it's like a drug. How do you say no? So let's continue on. I want to try to get through this tonight.
and we have tried to exert our sense of independence, we are shamed for it. At this point, let me go on to the second engagement. So I'm 28 years old and I have left the previous relationship, the 0.5, and I have met this man who, the minute I saw him, I knew I was going to be with him. He just was it. I don't know how to describe it. And the second I heard his voice, I said, I'm going to marry this man. I don't know what it was. Like, he had this Louisiana drawl. It's my favorite Southern accent. He was huge, like 6'1", 246 pounds of hulking muscle. He had skin the color of like red clay. He had this thick neck, big round head. He had this crooked tooth that drove me wild. His flaws were like manna from heaven for me. And I loved his dirty draws, and I could just sleep in his armpit right after he'd played a game of like pickup basketball. That is how much I loved this man. And our courtship was a whirlwind. He wined and dined me. He bought me lovely, lovely gifts. I'd wake up to those baby blue Tiffany boxes just laid on the pillow right next to me. We could go to my favorite store, and as long as I put on a little fashion show for him, everything I wanted I could get. But when I say that the gifts really mattered nothing to me, it was this man. He was the gift to me. That's just a fact. And we were 6 months into our relationship when the first sign of trouble appeared. I was in Denver for All-Star Weekend, and I was working for BET at the time. So I had a lot of responsibilities. I had to make a lot of appearances. I had to interview a lot of people, and a lot of those people were athletes. And he was back home. And I did not know that he was jealous. It didn't even cross my mind. And so when I got home after an event and I was perturbed by, an interaction with a strange man at a party that I had been at, he'd said something vile to me and it hurt my feelings. And all I wanted was to be comforted. And so I went back to my hotel room and I called my boyfriend and I just asked him to just tell me that he thought that I was beautiful and that he loved me. And he didn't do that. He just pressured me to tell him what happened. Why are you asking me to do this? And so I told him what happened. And he responded by saying, such a weak bitch that would be that offended by what some strange guy has to say to her. There's just no way that he just said that to me. I'm sorry, what? And he said, you heard me. And I said, I'm really confused right now. And he was like, I'm sure you are. I felt like I was talking to a stranger. There's no way that this was the person that I had just spent the last 6 months with, completely absorbed with, and in the throes of like love and ecstasy with. And I said, I'm glad that I'm finding out who you really actually are now rather than later.
So let me translate what happened. She's at these parties and he knows what's going on. He knows she's being hit on. Who knows if she told him about her past relationship and how she stepped out and this, that, and the other. So when she gets on the phone whining about, I need to hear that I'm loved and valuable and, I'm beautiful and all this kind of stuff, he kind of, his past kind of lost it and said, what's up with you? Why do I need to validate you? And isn't my validation enough? Why do I need to validate you because you're at this party because something happened? He knows his woman after 6 months or whatever the time frame was. And where is this coming from? And so he probably just got upset that you're living this life. This is the same thing that you've been through before. So this is the translation of what happened. Y'all hit the like button. There's 50 something people watching here. I got 20 likes. Hit the like button.
He said, yeah, I'm sure you are. Click. And hung up the phone on me. I cried myself to sleep that night. And the next day I had to cover a ladies' luncheon, the wives of the NBA. And so I had to be perfect and pretty. And I had to act like the man of my dreams had not just told me to basically go F myself. And so while I was getting ready, a large bouquet of flowers was delivered. My makeup artist said, Mel, you should read the card. And it said, you are beautiful to me and I love you. And I'm sorry. And then his name. I burst into tears. It just flew out of my face. So basically my whole beat face just melted. And I called him and I said, I received your flowers. And he said, I am so sorry. And I told him, I'm going to forgive you because I love you. But you can't ever speak to me like that ever again. He's like, I promise I won't. So whenever people wonder, how do people end up in abusive relationships and why do you stay? The reasons are aplenty, but I will start by saying that is not the way that it begins. It begins with love bombing. It begins with flowers, candy, gifts, and the wonderful sex and the cuddles and the pillow talk. And this is how it begins. And it can last for a lengthy amount of time before that person really shows up. The true version of themselves shows up. And by that point, you start to bargain with yourself and they start to apologize. And their apologies are usually very, very sincere because at the end of the day, I truly believe that they believe their apologies are real. They just have an illness inside of them. And I would also venture to say that the first signs of abuse are usually not physical. And by the time it gets to physicality, you start to reason that you were an active participant in it. You start to reason with yourself that you started the fight by angering him or saying something that was out of pocket. Or you reason with yourself that you are no shrinking violet. So it's not like you got hit and cowered in a corner. You fought back. These are the things that you reason and bargain with yourself that allow you to stay in this level of toxic relationship.
So I agree with that as far as how the domestic violence starts. And Miles says we only know her side of the story. This is what I'm saying. We got to put ourselves in this guy's shoes. What type of situation was he dealing with? Where was she at? Where was her head at? What type of stuff did she come home with all the time? Did he know her past about how she stepped out on a good man? Does she know he tried to get him back? All this type of stuff, right? So yeah, and listen, I'm not saying it's okay to talk to your woman like that or to emotionally manipulate her or anything like that. So
And so, as much as I would love to say that that was the last time that he spoke to me in that way, and that was the last time that I received it, that would not be the truth. We were together for another year and a half, and I accepted his marriage proposal. And a lot of you would probably be asking, why would you do that? Why would you accept the marriage proposal of this man that was so abusive towards you and unfaithful towards you and really bad at it? Like, I found out everything all the time, and I don't really have an excuse for it other than I was addicted to him. I was working at BET at the time when we were dating, and more than once observations were made about bruises on my body and how skinny I was getting, obviously from the stress.
You're the person with the gun.
all this I did, I kind of breathed. I didn't know that she was getting bruised up and stuff, and that's unacceptable, obviously.
People had voiced concern for me, but I just shooed them away. We tussle. It's fine. No problem. But there really was a reason for concern. I stayed through it all and accepted the marriage proposal. The final straw for me was his reaction to finding out that my mom was ill. I had gotten a phone call while I was out with him and his family, and he was acting up as per usual. And I got a phone call from my aunt telling me that my mom had been rushed to the hospital. I was in Texas. So in order
Safi Lama says low self-esteem. Let me tell you something. Human psychology, man. We think that we know a lot. We can't call it. Here's a woman who's covering magazines, well sought after, video vixen, working for BET, hosting luncheons for NBA wives, or whatever she was doing. You don't know, how could your esteem be any lower? You're obviously getting hit on everywhere you go. You're being told you're beautiful. How could your esteem be that low? Of course, I don't know her family history or whether she grew up with her dad and all these other dynamics that go into formation of your personality. But it's crazy. She doesn't say who this guy is. She's going to tell us about the last guy. First two guys, she did not mention their names.
In order for me to rush home to see my mom, I would have to leave Texas, go home to New York, pick up my passport, and then go to Canada. And when I told him what was going on, obviously I was looking for empathy and sympathy and compassion, and that was not what I got. It was on this day that I finally could see the forest for the trees. If I stayed in this relationship, in 10 years, I would have that white picket fence, and I would have the 2 kids, and I would be an abused woman, hiding her bruises and her broken bones and her scars from her family and her friends and society at large, because I was a forward-facing media personality / model. My mom's sickness was, strangely enough, a blessing in disguise, and that relationship came to an end, and that was the first full engagement. So 1.5. So that's where we are right now.
Any advice for any beautiful women out there that are trying to make it? Any advice you have to give them? I know it's a hard struggle. Understand that there's no.
I know police officers. Of course, everybody from all walks of life can have low self-esteem, but I know police officers, lady police officers, females, who were in domestic violence relationships. More than one. We sit through domestic violence training, how to deal with it, who to call, how to do it, how to deal with this, that, and the other, and they go home and get their butts whooped as well. So, they make arrests for it, they make referrals, all this stuff you're supposed to do as a police officer, but they go home and deal with it. So here's a beautiful woman who's on red carpets in the industry and going home to this. We can't explain it. We think that we can. We come up with these different theories and stuff. Can't always explain it. Just by her tone, she was really loving all the stuff he was giving. Love has to be more than gifts. Well, she said she liked his dirty underwear and all that, lay up under his arms. I really think that she was really going through something, Yeah. With 40% of Black children classified as overweight or obese, studies show that this negative impacts academic performance linked to lower grades and cognitive issues. Okay. All right. Are we really going to still stuck on this? I'm not saying it's not an issue. I'm saying that we can still talk about the obesity rates and still deal with culture. You can't believe, my soap, that culture is irrelevant to this thing. If we fix the obesity issue, do you still think that Megan Thee Stallion videos and the amount of homework that is done every night, the homework, there's a study about the hours of homework that were done, that in comparison to, I think, Asian families, between African American families, and you look at the progression rates. There's so many different things when we talk about cognitive abilities. Yes, obesity is one of them. We also look at how much time is being done with homework. There's also studies with linking, just family structure, and all that. So there's many things that deal with that. Right, and abuse is unacceptable. The attachment is a tough chain to break. That's the reference. I got you. Thank you.
And there's a lot of sacrifices involved in this game that nobody will ever tell you. That you're asking for a lot when you want to become, as visible as, some people on this carpet are for that. Exactly, the right ways. Just be careful. Be careful what you wish for.
When I was 20 years old, I had this boyfriend. His name was Tony Smith. I can say his name because, you could throw a rock and hit a Tony Smith.
All right, so this is the last guy we're going to talk about. So she said she was 2.5. So the first guy she told us about, she cheated on, wasn't really feeling him that way for whatever reason. Remember, that was the guy she tried to get back with. Remember that. That was the guy she tried to get back with. Then the second guy who didn't show up emotionally with her. And now this is the last guy she's going to tell us about, Tony Smith.
It may as well be like John Doe. He was from Greensboro, North Carolina. And he had come up to Toronto to play for the Toronto Argos, which is a football team in the Canadian Football League. And he had played in the National Football League, the NFL, for many years. And a lot of NFL players, when they're not ready to hang up their cleats, and not ready to kind of be put out to pasture, they'll come to the CFL. And so I met Tony at this festival called Caravana in Toronto. He was so beautiful. My God, instant attraction, obviously. And we started dating. We genuinely liked each other. We liked each other to the point where we could say really, really offhand things to each other. For example, he asked me what my fantasy was. And I got this look on my face. And I said, well, a fantasy would be, I guess, a menage with me and you and somebody else. And he was like, another woman? I said, no, with another guy. And he was like, really? He was like, do you have an idea as to who this guy is? I said, yeah. He's like, really? You have to tell me. And I said, it's your best friend. And I expected him to maybe slap me. I don't know what. But he threw his head back and roared with laughter. And I was like, wow, that was not the response I was expecting. And he said, do you want me to make that happen? I was like, oh my God, that is so sweet. No, absolutely not. It is just a fantasy. It is meant to stay there. But just the fact that you were open to it and don't make me feel shame for feeling this way. He was like, why would I make you feel that way? And Tony, I don't know, he maybe he was just an anomaly, but wherever we would go, no matter how scantily I was dressed, he would let me move around the party as I felt the need to and interact with anybody. And he would just sit there and just watch me with a smile. At one point, somebody stood next to him and asked him, like, aren't you afraid to let her walk around like that? And he was like, absolutely not. She's going home with me. I don't have anything to be worried about. And you want to know something? He was absolutely right. His level of confidence and knowing that I had eyes for nobody but him was what made him so much more sexy to me, so much more attractive, and made me like and love him so much more.
Is that a flex that you let your woman walk around, in parties and stuff? I mean, some people, I've met some guys who think this way, so I don't know. To my soap, send me those articles. Here's my email. Send me those articles, because I want to read them. I was just looking for them and I want to read them. So a lot of times people read these titles and stuff and don't read the articles. I'm not saying you did that, but I'd like to read them. So, and this is something that I talk about because I teach criminology in forensic psychology. So if we can link that, then I'll be glad to talk about it in my classes. So send me those articles, please. As for grades and race is concerned, it's not as much as racial as cultural. White American students aren't doing so great either. This is what Vivek Ramaswamy was saying, and this is what I'm saying, but My soap wants to. Why we wouldn't talk about? How do we talk about this? We just don't want to. Sometimes it's really frustrating because we don't want to accept that our culture is messed up somehow, and that is part of the problem. That is part of the problem. From our marriage rates to our divorce rates to our obesity rates to our STD rates to our mortality rates, our infant mortality rates to all these different things are linked, and we got to start having real conversations about them. And we don't want to seem to admit that there's a problem. We want to I think too often we want to blame racism. These people don't like us. They won't hire us. They this, that, and the other. Culturally, this is an issue. Who else is adopting racial slurs and their musicians are quote unquote leaders, and who else is prompted to vote for people because we put Megan Thee Stallion and Cardi B up on. Come on. What are we talking about? I appreciate that. Thank you. Let's see. If Minaj with another dude, I'd be afraid of parts touching. Listen, there's a lot of things on my bucket list, Miles, but that ain't one of them. I'm good. I'm good, though. I think he knew what type of woman he had and acted accordingly. That's probably true. He's like, oh, okay, you want a Minaj? Okay. And he probably was like, all right, listen, the girl, you put him in categories. You ain't wife material. You know what? No, he may have, I think, well, I don't remember if this guy proposed, but we'll find out.
I wish that I could say that the vast majority of my relationships went like this, but they didn't. I'm going to take a sip of wine.
Yeah, you take that sip, baby girl.
I was raised as an only child. My father was a Rolling Stone, and I am the youngest of 11. But I am my mother's only child, and I was raised in a 2-parent household, just me on my own. I used to wish constantly for a brother and a sister or a twin. It was around 6 when I figured out the twin thing was not going to happen. But I really wanted a brother or a sister because I was lonely. And I was smack in the middle of a very tumultuous marriage. Some of my earliest memories as
I don't want to talk. I don't want to listen to this. I'm going to be totally honest with you. Not crossing swords. Yeah, that's crazy. Sorry, tried to remove. No, you're good, brother. You're good. Let's see it. So I don't want, you guys can go over and listen to that. I don't want to listen to her talk about her family. She's talking about dogs and pets and all this kind of stuff. But I wanted to get to the end of this here because she said something that I think is kind of controversial. And here we go.
And
they ain't paying me, you don't get it. So.
And that's what they say, that like is more substantial than love. Just life in general. I have spoken to so many successfully married couples, and success means that they still like each other decades later. That's success. They still wake up and want to participate in this partnership. That is success. And that's what they say, that like is more substantial than love. And looking back on my relationships, I realized that like was not high on my list of priorities. And that's probably the reason for failures. So before I sign off, I saw something on Instagram that I wanted to read today. It says, marriage is the lowest paid form of sex work. Women are owed reparations. The people we lay with are the people who are most likely to kill us, which sounds really dark, but that's the reality we're living in. The reality is women have lost their lives in pursuit of men. Women have lost their futures in pursuit of love. I think we all need to really sit down and ask ourselves as individuals, what does love actually mean for me? And what in my life resembles that? Does the man that I've chosen resemble that love that I want and deserve? The traditional idea of love is damaging for women because it involves us being self-sacrificial in order to prove our worth. Men need to learn to find sustenance, entertainment, and sexual gratification outside of women because we don't owe men that. We live in a society.
Men are definitely figuring that out with our video games and going to jujitsu and different hobbies. We have figured that out. So let me finish this.
Where men assign women humanity and worth based on how attractive they are to them. Men need to learn.
It's funny that she's talking about how attractive they are to them. Let me rewind that here just a little bit here.
Outside of women because we don't owe men that.
We live in a society where men assign women humanity and worth based on how attractive they are to them. Here's this woman at 48 years old. She wasn't saying that when she was in her 20s as a video vixen. Crazy.
We live in a society where men assign women humanity and worth based on how attractive they are to them. Men need to learn to find sustenance, entertainment, and sexual gratification outside of women because we don't owe men that deserved a repeat. Thank you so much for joining me on.
Yeah. So that's the video that was sent to me. So listen, you guys can, I mean, I skipped about 10 minutes of it. You guys can go back and watch that. But that's her, you know, and she's happy where she is, claiming to be. I don't believe that at all. She is annoying. Like is more substantial than love. Marriage equals sexual. Interesting stuff. It's obviously cap. It's obviously coping mechanisms. You know, I don't believe in a word of what she was saying there. Women are, you know, highest paid of sex work and deserve reparations and all this. Oh my God, what are you talking about? You know, trying to sound intelligent, you know, and all this kind of stuff. It's just nonsense. You know, that makes her sound bitter and angry about the choices that she made. And somebody put in here, Evelyn puts in here, why was she roaming the club scantily dressed with her man there anyway? That's disrespectful. You can look great without scanty. Leave that for private time. Some people just don't believe in that. Remember, this is a woman who early on stepped out in the relationship and all this type of stuff. So she is, and the one that she stepped down on and realized that's the one that she said she went back to. That's the one, or she tried to get back with too. So that's her. So you got to, you know, take what she said with a grain of salt. She did talk about, you know, the pursuits of career and all this kind of stuff. You know, I'm excusing the different type of abusive relationships and the types of men that she has selected for herself. But the one guy that she selected, who she cheated on, think about that. That's the one who she tried to get back. So where did the years go? 48. Well, she has her career. Well, I guess so. She's on YouTube like the rest of us now. Not that you know, I don't know. Sounds like she wants sympathy for her reckless. Yeah, it's all spin. She's a good spin doctor, right? Oh man, I was harassed and this and that, and I was going through this, and people were just using me for my body and my intellect. And I was a college student. I was studying psychology, forensic psychology, and I was something else with another minor. And I was doing this and all that, but I still cheated on this guy, and I was running around, and I secretly wanted to have, you know, affairs, and the guy was doing this, and I was accepting proposals, and crazy. Yeah, she was getting that check. Yeah, she's miserable. Yeah, she's miserable. Is this new feminism 2025? Absolutely. I think so. I think so. If anybody's interested, I'm actually reading a book about that. Let me see if I can pull it up. What's the name of the book I'm reading here? Hold on. What's the name of the book I'm reading here? It's an audiobook. The Case Against the Sexual Revolution. I say reading, but I'm listening to it in an audiobook. By Louise Perry. She's basically naked for 20 years. Cupcakes and wine. Cats. Let's see. Remove. So this is the book I'm reading right now. The Case Against Sexual Revolution. Louise Perry. When did this book come out? I don't know when it came out. Does it say? 2022. So it's a pretty good book. Could be a little bit better. A lot of opinions in it. I'm going to be honest with you. There's a lot of opinions in it. Oh, wait. You can't see it. This one. This is the book I'm reading right now. So you guys want to check that out. 2022 it came out. A lot of opinions in it. Some factual data, but a lot of opinions. So, but that's the show for tonight. That's what I want to kind of discuss for tonight. So being in a partnership with a man does not automatically equal happiness. 50-50 chance she's better off being single. Well, it doesn't guarantee happiness. We're trying to have us make better decisions, definitely. Trying to make better decisions and trying to recognize this, you know, trying to understand what Miss Ford did wrong and right, in passing up in her younger years and coming to this place of regret later on in life. And now, is this the new feminism as far as, sipping on wine and dealing with cupcakes, cats and wine and going out to girls' nights? And is that what you want? But but to be honest, I talk about guys, making better decisions when they're in their young years. Ladies making the same mistakes and decisions, same mistakes. You think you got time to play around, and then one day you wake up and you're not the it girl anymore. And she woke up who knows when she woke up, but she's not the it girl anymore. Sooner or later, nobody's following you around the club anymore. Nobody's buying you drinks anymore, and that can be painful. That can be emotionally painful if you made a career off of your looks and all that kind of stuff, right? So now here you are, you don't have anything to deal with. I'm glad you popped in. Thank you so much. Here's the uncomfortable truth: most people aren't meant to be married. If she would have become a wife, she probably would have caused more harm. I think that's a well said statement there. Everybody's not made. That's a realization that I think that a lot of us need to come to. Is not everyone is meant to be married. Not everyone is meant to be married. And we got to kind of accept that, Miss A, this is sad. Deep down, most women do not want that life. They want to be fulfilled with their husband and family. Yeah. So you got to go after what you want. And if she, I think that a lot of times this is a problem that people are, wrestling with when they're young, because they think that they're young. They have time. People are in their DMs. People are trying to get at them. People are, you got a lot of options. And unfortunately for ladies, as they grow older, the options go down, and men, as they increase in their value, their options go up. This is a sad reality. I'm not saying whether it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that it is. So, I don't know. Life does go fast. You're right about that. Life goes fast. Get in while you can get in. Get in while you're young, right? So you got to be ready for that. You got it. And she said that. I think that she said it, in her talk, is that you got to be selfless. You got to be willing to give. You got to be. That's one thing that I've come to realize in my older age, that I would definitely push. You got to be willing to sacrifice. It's one thing to sacrifice for your kids. I sacrifice a lot for my kids and my sleep and stuff, but I could have and should have sacrificed a lot more. I could have and should have sacrificed a lot more. So, yeah, you can't go into a marriage being selfish. You cannot go into a marriage or into any long-term relationship and being selfish. You got to think of the other person and be willing to make room for them and put them first. Make room for them and put them first. If you lay down to take a nap and your girl calls you because you got a flat tire, you got to get up. You can't be yelling at her, So all that. So that's the presentation for tonight. I thank you all for checking out the episode. Make sure you hit the like button. And if you like, you can always buy me some lunch. I would appreciate that. So you can always buy me some lunch and all that kind of stuff. So I'll be waiting for these studies, and it may be worth talking about, right? Because listen, obesity is a problem. It is a problem in the Black community, right? You look at almost all measures of quality of life, and African Americans are on the bottom of that. So we got to do something about that, and that includes obesity, because that leads to diabetes, early onset diabetes, dementia, cancers. It's an issue. So, yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for tonight. Thank you all so much for checking out the show. Really, really appreciate it. Y'all can buy me some lunch. If there's any other videos, my email is up here, so I'll put it in here again. You guys can always email me if you see a video or something that's worth talking about. I do have a couple of videos that are coming up that'll be dropping in the next couple of days, talking about some good stuff that is not so much relationship stuff, but some other good topics, I think. So we can deal with that. So, all right, y'all. Have a good night. Take care. Much love and peace.